Hey guys, it's Jeff, and today, Tuesday, the 30th of October, Apple has finally released iOS 12.1, and with this new version of iOS, we have a ton of new features, major bug fixes, performance improvements, and more. So let's check everything out. This video was sponsored by our friends at MacPaw, the creators of Clean My Mac X. This program will clean up, protect, and speed up your Mac without any hassle whatsoever. If you want a free download of this program on us, click the link down below. Okay, so starting with some new features, and number one is dual SIM support for iPhone XS and XS Max owners. So now for those of you with those specific devices, you can activate a second SIM on that eSIM built into your phones so long as your wireless carrier is now fully supporting it. Apple announced this feature alongside the new iPhones that came out this year, but this feature has also been in the iPads with data plans and as well Apple Watches too. Basically, there is an electronic SIM card in your device that can be changed to any supporting carrier or plan, so your device won't be locked to any specific carrier. Now, dual SIM support is also made clear in actually supporting two physical SIM cards, but that is limited to China as that is the only country that doesn't allow the eSIM technology. So if you want to activate a second line on your phone using that eSIM, go into the Settings app, then onto Cellular, and then from there tap on the Add Cell Plan. Here you will be able to submit the necessary information to activate that eSIM with your respective carrier, and you'll be all set to go. Now, after you set this feature up, you will have a ton of options as to how your two SIM cards or lines will work, so there will be a lot of customization after the setup process. Now, next up is Group FaceTime, and this is definitely a fun new feature for those of you who just wanted three-way or more calling. So Group FaceTime at WWDC 2018 was announced to be coming in iOS 12, but for good reason, Apple delayed this feature because it was just way too buggy and it also didn't fully function. But now we have been seeing it in the iOS 12.1 betas, and here we have it in the official release, finally ready to be used. So now with this new feature, you can have group FaceTime calls of up to 32 people, which is absolutely insane. I know a lot of people were just looking for a max of maybe 3 to 4 people on one call, but Apple of course exceeded expectations here, and with that we are also seeing a really secure video connection. Now, on top of adding more colors, you can now add stickers, an emoji, memoji, and a few other fun things to your calls with friends, so check it all out in the iOS 12.1 update. Now, moving on, and Apple did make some very major under-the-hood improvements to their own music app. Basically, it's now easier to browse for music and discover new artists based on their new algorithm built into the music app. Obviously, when you go throughout this experience, there is no UI difference to the app experience, but I have noticed that there is a lot more relevant options for music available, and search functionality is a lot more accurate. So Apple started integrating lyric searches and improving their own search functionality in the iOS 12 betas, and it looks like they are improving on those updates with the music app in iOS 12.1. So that's all you need to know about the music app. Essentially, you'll be having, according to Apple, a much better listening experience here via the improvements made in this app. Now, before we forget, there was actually a ton of new emoji added in iOS 12.1. So if you update, you will find new emoji in almost every single category on the Apple keyboard. I will have a link down below for you to check out all of the new emojis that were added, but I'm sure it will be quite obvious when you open the keyboard. Now, you'll have to go check them all out for yourself because there is a huge collection here, but let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite new emoji is, because we haven't had new emoji in quite a while. Okay, so one more thing for iPhone XS and XS Max users. And in the camera app, there was the aperture icon placed into the top right-hand corner when in portrait mode. And basically, this will allow you to control a live aperture when taking the photo to see how it will turn out. Of course, when you are on newer devices, you can control the aperture afterwards when in the editing process of the photo, but it's just nice to have this feature live to see what you might be looking for in a specific photo. Now, this feature is relatively new, so place your expectations kind of on the low end as it was just introduced, but in my experience so far, I haven't had any issues with this feature so far, and it's actually working really well. Okay, so those were some of the new features found in iOS 12.1. Now let's move on to performance, a major topic when it comes to iOS 12. So on iOS 12 and iOS 12.0.1, there were reports of quite a few bugs that were affecting performance between the A12 processor and the battery as well. Now, there were also bugs affecting connections and also some affecting charging, and really just the two software versions here just were riddled with bugs. Now in iOS 12, those seem to be solved now, and performance does seem a lot better, and with these improvements, the battery life has actually not been affected. It's actually improved on many of my devices. So as iOS 12 was said to be the best performing version of iOS, and it was heavily focused on performance with newer and older devices, Apple definitely wanted to roll out iOS 12.1 here with basically the best performance that you can get, given we haven't had the best in iOS 12 and 12.0.1. So with all of that being said, let's check out some Geekbench numbers, and for the CPU testing, we were getting some pretty decent numbers on our iOS 12/iPhone XS Max setup. Those scores were 4,776 on the single core and 10,458 on the multi-core. Now on iOS 12.1, we saw an increase in performance, and now we are seeing a 4,803 on the single core and a 10,870 on the multi-core. So with those scores, we are actually seeing about a 3 to 5% increase in our benchmarks, but more efficiency with the CPU during actual use. Now moving on to the GPU side of things, and we are seeing a significant increase here. So running iOS 12 on our iPhone XS Max, we saw a score of 20,775, which was a significant increase over the iPhone X running iOS 12 at just over 15,000. Now moving on, and we've upgraded to iOS 12.1, and we are now seeing a score of 22,962, and that marks over a 10% increase just with one software update. So with all of that being said, how does compute and CPU performance affect you, the end user? Well, compute or GPU performance is slightly more important here, as that will handle all of your animations, graphics, and overall basically anything having to do with your display. So with such a high graphics score here, you won't really have to worry about a game lagging necessarily, but with a much more efficient performance in iOS 12, you will now be saving more battery while still getting really good performance. Now, when we take a look at just the UI of iOS 12.1, everything is absolutely flawless. No lags or stutters, the Force Touch is extremely responsive, and everything feels very, very smooth. So right now, I'm really happy with the overall performance, and I think that Apple has really found a good mixture of speed and smoothness with this update. Also, we are seeing much better battery life despite this performance bump, so that's really nice to have as well. Now, speaking of battery life, and we'll end on that note. Battery life is so much better, I don't even know where to begin. Battery life on iOS 12 and 12.0.1 was quite an awful experience for me, even on the newly released XS lineup. But once we started getting later into the iOS 12.1 betas and now onto the official release, I'm seeing a much better actual use results, and my phones are lasting longer throughout the day. So battery life is definitely much better, and I can say with confidence now that the iPhone 8 device and anything higher will definitely be lasting all day with pretty hefty usage of these devices. So guys, that is iOS 12.1, and for me, it's an absolute must update like right now. So far, it's bug-free, performance is better, battery life is better, and obviously there are those new features that you can all check out as well. If you want to go ahead and update your specific iDevice, so long as it's supported, you should be able to over the air, so just go into your software update menu in the settings app and update from there. Now, if you have any questions about the update, please let me know in the comment section down below via a comment, and also let me know what your favorite feature of iOS 12.1 is. I'd really love to know. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me in this video covering iOS 12.1. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the new iPad Pros that were released today. But in the meantime, make sure to get subscribed to the channel. Stay tuned for some more upcoming content, and we'll catch you in our next video.